So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's worth revisiting. And we talk about theory, which is what is the outcome of this step and what are we trying to accomplish? So let's go into Unity. Keep in mind that eventually when we get to Blender, we're taking two things and we're pulling them together and we're going to get an outcome there. Those two things in Blender that we're pulling together are one are the Inkscape splines, which you've already done, which are two-dimensional objects. Okay, they are flat, 100% flat. The other thing that we're going to be pulling into Blender is the terrain itself. And then we're going to be taking those 2D objects from Inkscape, putting them on top of our terrain and conforming them so we bend those 2D objects and turning them into 3D objects that are in the shape of our terrain. So if our terrain is not in the correct shape, ultimately we're not going to get those 3D objects into Blender that are the correct shape, and we're not going to like the outcome of what it looks on our golf course. So some of the things that we need to do, so we have our terrain here in Unity. We brought our PNG in, which is just the image of our two-dimensional splines. And now we just want to make sure that our terrain is going to be right for these. And some of the things that we need to check, for instance, are our tee boxes flat? Okay. And now I'm going to show you right here that this tee box is not flat. And I'll show you, we're going to fix this, but this is the thing we're looking for. You can see at this tee box, it goes here and then it goes up a little bit. And that might be okay. If there's one tee up here and one down here, that might not be so bad, but we probably want to fix that. Also, look at this cart path. Ew. That does, when I lay like, and I try to put something that looks like cement over top of this, it's not going to look right. You can't drive a cart on this. So I'm probably going to need to somehow to flatten this out as well. Um, and then up here, let's go, our fairway looks fairly good. We typically don't need to touch our greens. I'll probably come here, I'm going to need to flatten these tee boxes as well. Actually, it looks like there's another tee box up here that I should have added, but we're going to let that go for now. That's something I can fix on my own. Another tee box here. Now here's where we're going to need some work because we don't want our water coming up in the air and back down over here. So we're going to need to flatten this out so our water gets through here. Okay, so that's going to be pretty important. And then lastly, again, we talked about our bunkers. So ultimately, we're going to dig out our terrain so that when we bring our splines, our two-dimensional splines like our bunkers and our cart paths, and we lay them and we conform them to our terrain, they're going to be at the right levels and they're going to look good. And basically how they undulate and go up in the air and down in the air looks proper. And we're just not there right now, so we're going to have to do some manipulation here. So keep in mind that the outcome of this is we're going to export our terrain into a format that Blender can understand. And then Blender is also going to import our splines, our two-dimensional splines, and then we're going to conform them inside of Blender. But of course, before we do all that, we've got to get our terrain settled and fixed. That's what the next series of videos are going to be about.